The Earth ship Unity drifted silently through the stars, its hull reflecting the twin suns of Velkar Prime. It was the most advanced vessel Earth had ever built, sleek, quiet, and full of hope. Inside, the crew moved with focus. Today was history in motion. 2. Humanity had reached the center of the galaxy's power. Captain Alara Voss stood at the main window of the command deck. She was tall, with sharp eyes and calm energy. Her dark hair was pulled back, and her uniform was crisp. She had trained for this moment her whole life. "Final approach to Velkar Prime," said her navigation officer. Alara nodded. "Take us in slowly. Let them see us arrive with purpose." Outside the window, Velkar Prime grew larger. The planet wasn't natural. It was a constructed world, forged from metal and stone, orbiting two golden suns. Its cities floated above the surface. Ships of many shapes and sizes circled it like bees around a hive. Alara turned to her first officer, Lieutenant Kara Min. "How's the crew?" "Nervous," Kara said. "They know Earth doesn't have many friends here. Then we give them no reason to doubt us." Alara said, "We're not here to beg. We're here to be heard." Unity docked at the Imperial Station. Two alien guards with silver armor waited to escort them. They belonged to the Zarkari species. Tall, hairless beings with deep violet skin and narrow eyes. They didn't speak, just turned and walked, a silent command to follow. The halls of the station were cold and grand. Statues of past emperors lined the walls. Alara kept her head high. Kara and the others followed her closely. Finally they entered the Grand Assembly Hall. It was massive, rows upon rows of alien representatives seated in rings around a glowing center platform. The colors, the lights, the languages. It was overwhelming, the Galactic Council in full view. Alara stepped forward as Earth's flag was displayed. No applause. No welcome. A voice boomed from above. "Earth joins us late. Still, they come. Let us hear from their representative." It was Chancellor Zoroth Creel. He stood tall in the central circle, wearing heavy robes with golden threads. His eyes were cold and amused. He looked down at Alara as if she were an insect that had wandered into a palace. "Speak, human," he said. "If you must." Alara took a slow breath. "Captain Alara Voss, I represent Earth and its people. We come in peace, and we are honored to join the council." Zoroth raised an eyebrow. "Honored? You mistake tolerance for respect. You are here because we allowed it, nothing more." A few soft chuckles echoed in the chamber. Zoroth continued. "Humanity. War-torn, emotional, unstable, always reaching beyond your place. Tell me, Captain, will you bring us chaos or comedy?" More laughter followed. It was quiet, but cruel. Alara stood still. Her face showed no anger, no fear, just silence. Zoroth smiled. "No answer. Perhaps silence is the most wise thing your kind has ever offered." He turned his back. The session moved on. Alara returned to her seat without a word. Kara leaned toward her and whispered, "They planned that." "I know," Alara said. "What do we do now?" Alara's eyes stayed on Zoroth. "We make sure they never laugh again." Back aboard the Unity, silence filled the main briefing room. The crew sat around the long table, unsure of what to say. Alara stood at the head, her hands resting lightly on the metal surface. Everyone had seen it. The way Zoroth mocked Earth. The way the other delegates laughed. The coldness of the council chamber. It wasn't just an insult. It was a message Earth didn't belong. Lieutenant Kara finally spoke. "We should have said something. We should have pushed back." Alara shook her head. "Not yet. Speaking out in anger would have made us look exactly how they see us, reckless. But we're not," Kara said. "They don't even know us. They don't care to know us," said Dr. Elias Tan, the ship's cultural advisor. He was older, with silver in his hair and a quiet voice. "The Empire thrives on control. Mocking Earth keeps us small." The room fell quiet again. Alara looked around the table. "They think emotion is weakness. that we're unstable. But emotion also means passion, loyalty, and courage. They forget that. We can't forget, Kara said. Because they won't let us. Alara nodded. That's why we wait. We don't speak until they give us the floor again. And when we do, it will be in a way they don't expect. Dr. Tan leaned forward. Words matter. One wrong word could damage Earth's future here. But the right one, it could open doors. Alara stepped away from the table and looked out the window. Velkar Prime still shone in the distance, a planet of power and pride. When I was a girl on Mars, she said, I watched two towns fight over water during a drought. Both sides were ready to burn each other down. I was 12. I didn't have power or weapons or even a voice that mattered. But I spoke anyway. I told them that if they burned the other side, they'd burn their own hope too. The crew listened in silence. They stopped fighting, she said. Not because I scared them, but because I reminded them what they were about to lose. She turned back to them. We're not here to make war. We're here to make history. But we will not let Earth be mocked and ignored. A soft beep came from the console. Message from Earth Command, Kara said. They want a response to the Chancellor's comments. They want to know if we plan to challenge him. Alara walked over and read the message. Then she looked at her crew. We'll reply, but not in anger, not in weakness. We'll give them a response when it matters most, and we'll make sure the entire galaxy hears it. Her voice was steady, her eyes sharp. We don't shout to be heard. We speak so no one forgets. The crew nodded. The weight of their mission pressed on them. But so did the fire of pride. Earth had been insulted, but it would not be ignored. The halls of Velkar Prime were quiet, but Alara Voss felt the weight of eyes everywhere. Some curious, some cold, most indifferent. She walked with purpose through the diplomatic wing, Kara and Dr. Tan beside her. Today's schedule was full. Meetings with representatives from other species, silent observations in council sessions, and one evening reception hosted by the Zarkari Empire. It wasn't war, but it was a battlefield. They entered a tall glass chamber lined with floating orbs of light. Delegates mingled, speaking in dozens of languages. Alien servers moved between them, offering glowing drinks and plates of strange food. The room was elegant, but sharp, like a blade disguised as art. This is where they test us, Dr. Tan said quietly. Not with weapons, but with presence. Alara gave a small nod. She didn't smile. Then we stay present. As they moved through the crowd, many representatives avoided their gaze. Some stared, whispered, and turned away. One delegate, a short-scaled being from the Renari system, smiled kindly and bowed as they passed. But most offered nothing. Then a voice spoke behind them. You walk with pride. That alone is a risk. Alara turned. A woman stood near the edge of the gathering, her skin pale blue, her eyes like glass. She wore robes marked with the sigil of Narath, a small and quiet planet on the edge of imperial space. I'm Virel of Narath, the woman said softly. I've seen many new worlds come and go. The ones who stay are the ones who learn when to speak and when to strike. We don't plan to strike anyone, Alara replied. Not with force, Virel said, but with something stronger. Words, truth, dignity. Alara studied her. You think that's enough? In time, yes, Virel said. But be careful. The Chancellor insults to provoke. He wants to draw anger from you. Then he'll call it proof. Alara nodded. We won't give him what he wants. Virel gave a small smile. Then you have already begun to win. She stepped back into the crowd and vanished. Later Alara stood alone near one of the tall windows. Velkar Prime's twin suns were setting, casting a warm glow through the hall. The hum of conversation filled the space, but her thoughts were far away. Kara joined her. I don't know how you stay so calm. I'm not calm, Alara said quietly. I'm focused. Kara looked at her. Do you ever wish you could just shout back? Tell them who we are, what we've survived. Every day, Alara said. But they don't respect shouting. They respect control. Then what's the plan? Alara's eyes followed a group of Empire officials laughing across the room. We wait. We listen. We speak when the time is right. And what do we say? Alara smiled. Faintly. The truth. Delivered so clearly they can't ignore it. The reception continued. The Chancellor never approached them. Not a word. Not a glance. It was silence meant to shame. But Alara didn't flinch. Let them ignore Earth. When the moment came, they would all be listening. Ilara Voss walked alone through the imperial gardens of Velkar Prime. It was early morning. The twin suns had just begun to rise, casting soft golden light across the strange trees and glowing pools. The garden was quiet, untouched by politics, untouched by war. It was the only place on the planet that felt real. She had asked for solitude, and surprisingly, it had been granted. No guards, no observers, just her and the gentle hum of wind through alien leaves. The garden was made up of plants from across the galaxy. Some shimmered with moving colors. Others breathed softly, like sleeping animals. There were flowers that floated, vines that hummed. It was beautiful, but distant. Ilara sat on a smooth white stone near a pool of clear blue water. For a moment she let herself breathe. She thought of Earth, of her home on Mars, of her father. He had been a teacher in a small Martian dome, not a soldier, not a leader, just a man who believed in truth. He used to say, if you speak only to win, you'll be forgotten. If you speak to be understood, they'll remember you forever. Ilara could still hear his voice. She remembered the night he told her to join the diplomatic corps. She was 17. Angry about a council ruling that had left their district with no power for days. They don't listen to us, she had said. Then speak in a way they can't ignore, he replied. Now she was here, in the heart of the most powerful empire in the galaxy, and she was still being ignored. But not for long. She reached into her jacket and pulled out a small device, her personal recorder. She activated it and began to speak, her voice low and steady. Message log, private. This is Captain Ilara Voss. The Empire has insulted Earth. They mocked our past and laughed at our presence, but they don't understand us. Not yet. They see chaos where there is resilience. They see emotion where there is strength. They see history, but not growth. She paused, looking at her reflection in the water. We've made mistakes, yes. But we learned, we rebuilt. We keep going. And that is what makes us dangerous. Not our weapons, not our ships, but our refusal to give up. She turned off the recorder and stood. The air was warm now. The sun's climbing higher. Light danced on the water. As she walked back through the garden paths, she saw a small flame-like flower open in the light. It reminded her of Earth's fireweed, one of the first plants to grow after wildfires. New life rising from ashes. Ilara smiled. Let them laugh. Let them look down. Because when the time came she would rise. And she would carry Earth with her. The Grand Assembly Hall was full. Delegates from every part of the galaxy filled the curved rows of seats. Their colors, shapes, and languages mixed together like a living storm. Lights floated above the chamber. The energy in the room was heavy, expectant. Today Earth would speak. Captain Ilara Voss stood in the center circle, alone, calm. A single spotlight glowed above her. The platform beneath her feet was silent. The rest of the hall watched in quiet judgment. Chancellor Zorith Creel sat high above, surrounded by the symbols of the Empire. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes were sharp, waiting. Earth, the council voice announced. You may deliver your reply. Ilara looked up, then slowly around the room. She didn't rush. She didn't raise her voice. She spoke clearly, each word chosen with care. My name is Captain Ilara Voss. I speak for Earth, not as a perfect world, but as one that has survived. Some murmurs rippled through the crowd. She continued. We were called a violent species, emotional, chaotic. That's true. In part, we have known war, we've made mistakes. We've fallen more than once. She paused. But every time we fell, we got back up. Stronger, smarter, better. That's what defines us, not the fall but the rise. She stepped forward. You call emotion a weakness, but emotion is why we rebuild when cities fall. It's why we reach for stars we cannot touch. It's why we protect those who cannot protect themselves. A few heads in the audience nodded. Alara's voice stayed steady. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to beg. We are here to belong. And whether you choose to see it or not, humanity has earned its place among the stars. Silence. Then she looked directly at Zorith. Chancellor, you insulted my people. You laughed at our past, but we will not answer with threats. We answer with truth, and the truth is simple. She paused again. You are afraid. The room stirred. Some gasped. Zorith's eyes narrowed. You're afraid because we remind you of something you've forgotten. Hope, change, growth. We are what you once were before your power made you blind. She let those words hang in the air. Then she finished. We don't need your permission to matter. And we don't need your approval to endure. We are human, and we are here. She stepped back. The chamber stayed silent. Then slowly someone clapped, then another, and another. Soon the hall filled with applause. Some delegates stood. Some looked shocked, but no one laughed. Zorith said nothing. It's like he sat still, eyes fixed on Alara, his face a mask, but inside, something had shifted. The Empire had expected weakness. Instead, they had been shown strength. The mood aboard the Unity had changed. The air felt lighter. The silence was no longer tense. It was thoughtful, proud. Alara Voss stood by the window of the command deck, watching Velkar Prime shrink behind them. The ship moved slowly, leaving the Imperial station and heading back into open space. But this time, they weren't leaving quietly. Lieutenant Kara walked in, holding a datapad. She had a small smile on her face. You should see this, she said. Alara took the pad and looked through the messages. Dozens of them. Small worlds, neutral systems, independent colonies. They were reaching out. They wanted to talk. They wanted to learn more about Earth. They listened. Kara said softly. Not just the Council, the galaxy. Alara nodded. We gave them more than a speech. We gave them a reason to see us. Dr. Tan entered behind them, still holding his usual cup of strong Martian tea. The Chancellor hasn't responded, he said. But the silence says enough. He can't undo what happened. Alara replied. The Council saw him try to shame us. And they saw us stand tall. She placed the datapad down. Outside, the stars were bright, stretching across space like a promise. Earth wasn't powerful. It didn't control fleets or hold ancient weapons, but it had something stronger, truth, courage, and a voice that refused to be silenced. Later that evening, Alara gathered the crew in the main briefing room. They stood together, pilots, engineers, scientists, diplomats, people from Earth, Mars, the lunar colonies, and beyond. She spoke simply. We came here to represent Earth. We thought we'd be ignored, maybe even pushed aside. But instead, we reminded them who we are. She paused. We are humans. We carry the scars of our past and the hope for something better. That makes us dangerous. Not because we want war, but because we don't fear change. There were no cheers, just quiet agreement. Nods, eyes shining. They understood. As the ship continued its journey, a new message came in. It was from a council delegate, not a friend, not an enemy, but one who had been silent until now. It read, respect has been earned. Earth's voice will be heard. Alara smiled. The galaxy had mocked Earth, and Earth had replied. Not with anger, not with war, but with words that could not be forgotten. As Unity moved forward, its path was clear. Earth's future was no longer in the shadows. It had stepped into the light.